Mr. Vazirani, I've heard reports that former U.S. service members have been approached by communist China and offered jobs that draw on their military expertise to aid the PLA. This is already happening with some of our European partners, veterans, oftentimes through professional military companies in third world countries like South Africa. What steps, if any, is the Department of Defense taking today during the transition process to ensure that our troops are aware of this kind of activity and adequately prepared to resist these offers, especially if done through intermediaries?
Senator, we continue to be concerned about the pacing threat of China and the approach that they take to try and undermine what we're doing. We have provided guidance through the military departments on when our service members there's outreach from malactors. And Senator, I'll be happy to get back to you with the specific steps we've taken and the guidance we provide.
Yeah, could you please get back to me in writing on those steps, and also what mechanisms, if any, you have in place to track these kind of offers? Because I do think it's a growing concern, like I said, with our European partners. But I worry about reports that it's now occurring in the United States as well. I believe that our reserves play a crucial role in the nation's defense by allowing the U.S. to retain critical skills and talents in our services, while also allowing active duty service members to transition into the reserves. Unfortunately, like the rest of the active duty military, the reserves are facing historic shortfalls as well. Has the DoD studied barriers to transitioning into the reserves from the active duty?
Senator, that is, as far as addressing barriers to transitioning to the reserve, we are looking at that. We want to ensure that we particularly as we continue to rely on the reserve component. One of the things we've been doing, we brought on our first Chief Talent Management Officer. An area that we're looking at is permeability between the active and the reserve component, and providing that opportunity for service members to move from one to the other, active to reserve, but also the opportunity to come back into the active component.
Okay. In the studies, has the DoD identified any specific issues that create challenges for transitioning troops who may have gone in the reserves but decided not to?
Senator, if I can take that for the record, and I'll get back to you with the specific findings.
One final and related question. Obviously, we want to make sure that every man and woman who wears the country's uniform and wants to leave the service is set up for success in civilian life or in the reserves if they choose to go there. But I'm also curious about barriers to remaining, I shouldn't say barriers, drivers to transition when troops may have stayed on active duty. So as you're studying the challenges that they have in the transition process, have you also studied the main issues that are driving their desire to separate in the first place?
Senator, one of the things that we are seeing now is we're seeing actually record levels of retention. Yeah. And so we're benefiting from that, and that's certainly helping us in end strength. When one of the areas that we've talked about during this panel that is a driver for service members to get out is military spouse employment, and the opportunity for a service member's military spouse to also have a successful career and also contribute to the family's financial readiness. So that's an area that we're working very hard on to ensure that military spouses have career opportunities to support their service member, particularly as we look at our model, which typically requires the service member to move every 2 to 3 years.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Peters.